So I'm not going to lie to you guys, there were a few things in my playtime with Assassin's Creed Shadows that actually really impressed me more than I was kind of expecting going into the playtest. I was already very keen on this game heading into it, but there were a few things that made me actually even more excited to play this game once it finally launches. And so today I'm going to be running you guys through 5 things that really impressed me in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, the first thing that I wanted to touch on is the combat, and it's kind of with both Yasuke and Naoe as well. The combat felt very different between both of these characters, and the way that I've explained it in previous videos is that it almost felt like I was playing 2 different games at once, and that might sound kind of crazy, but I mean that in the best way possible. They feel so unique from each other that Naoe's combat feels pretty in line with something like Assassin's Creed Mirage, for example, which was obviously a lot more like stealth focused than the more recent Assassin's Creed games from Origins onwards. And then on the flip side, when it comes to Yasuke's combat, that felt to me pretty much not even like Assassin's Creed, and again I mean that in a good way. For me, the combat in the recent games since Origins, it's definitely not bad, but it's not, you know, it's not on the level of games like Ghost of Tsushima and those sorts of games that this will inevitably be compared to. But in this game, it definitely felt a lot more in line with a game like Ghost of Tsushima in terms of the production and the quality of it overall. Having the combat be so different between both of the 2 characters feels like it's going to kind of keep it very fresh throughout the entire game. If you feel like getting into some like head-on combat, then you can obviously just go and play as Yasuke and you can pretty much just dominate people because he is simply an absolute tank. Whereas if you do get that itch to be a little bit stealthier and play maybe a little bit slower, more in line with the typical assassin gameplay that we're used to, then you can obviously switch to Naoe as well. And keep in mind, you can pretty much switch between these 2 at any given point throughout the game, outside of when you're in like key missions. If you've already picked one, you usually have to stick with that character in the middle of a mission, but outside of that, you can essentially pick and choose who you want to play as. Lastly, for the combat, I will also say it actually felt a lot more challenging than I expected to. I started on the hardest difficulty because to me, Assassin's Creed games are always fairly easy. And I won't lie to you guys, halfway through the session, I actually turned the difficulty down because I was getting absolutely slapped. This gameplay that you can see here, I was stuck as Naoe. I couldn't sort of change because it was part of a main mission. And I was getting attacked by like what felt like at least 10 shinobis all at once, who they've got throwing stars and stuff, and man, I was just copping it as Naoe. So I literally had to lower the difficulty just mostly so I didn't get stuck on that section, because obviously I was only there for a limited amount of time and I wanted to play as much as I could. But yeah, the combat felt challenging in a good way. It wasn't too hard to where it was like frustrating. It just felt harder than I expected. And the good thing is that for those who don't want to challenge, the easier difficulties I'm sure will be very easy, because even turning it down 1, for me, it became a lot easier. So overall, I was really impressed with the combat in this game. It was one of those games that gave me the sort of itch that now I just can't stop thinking about. I just want to go back and play it, and I am definitely keen to get stuck back in there once the game launches in March. Now, something else that really impressed me, and it's probably the main thing that I actually noticed in my playtime, was to do with like the quality of life changes and just the overall quality of life elements that were in this game. There were a lot of things that I just noticed and went, damn, that's a really nice little touch, and it's a small thing that doesn't like make or break the game by any means, but having a bunch of those little quality of life additions to me really does matter. A few examples I'm going to get to are, for example, when you call your mount. I'm sure you guys know in most other games, you'll call a mount towards you and they'll just kind of come somewhere near you, but you still have to run and jump onto them by actually pressing a button. And often in a lot of games, I'm thinking back to like Red Dead Redemption and stuff, you call the horse, they come past you and then they literally just run like 10 meters further, and it's kind of annoying because you sometimes have to then go chase them and grab them. In this, you call the mount and it literally comes right next to you and you just automatically jump onto it. Similar to if you guys played Elden Ring, where the spectral steed in that game, you don't actually like call it, you literally summon it and you instantly jump onto it. It is a lot more in line with that than how the mounts usually work in most other games that I've played. So little things like that. There's also the new addition that you can go prone when you're trying to be stealthy. It really helps being in the long grass, and yeah, you can go full on prone, which even further increases your chances of like successfully hiding from the enemies. And it's just a nice little quality of life touch that adds to the game. It's not like an absolute requirement that you need to be prone, but for me, it's little additions like that that I really liked. There's also a grapple hook for Naoe, which just makes the parkour a little bit easier, or not so much easier, but kind of faster without being like overbearing on the parkour to where it takes away the fun. And even just down to little stuff like the animation. So when you're playing as Naoe, when you jump off a roof, she does like flips and stuff, and it just looks cool rather than just doing a regular jump off the roof like every other assassin in every other Assassin's Creed game. So just little things like that where it just feels like they have put a lot of love into this game. To me, that goes a long way. Little quality of life stuff like that is really important in games like this, and that's something that I definitely noticed in my playtime. Now, before we go any further, if you guys are interested in more Assassin's Creed content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There is plenty more content on the way. Now, this will be the last Assassin's Creed Shadows video I do for just a little while, because we've got Kingdom Come, Deliverance 2, Avowed, and then Monster Hunter Wilds all in February. So there are a lot of games in between, but I will definitely be coming back probably close to a month before Assassin's Creed Shadows launches in the lead up to that game, and then plenty more content after as well. So if you guys are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. You do not want to miss out on all of the Assassin's Creed content. Now, the next thing that I was really impressed by was essentially a combination of both the graphics and the performance. This is one of the better looking games that I have ever played, and I know it's a Ubisoft game and people might think that's a very hot take, but in my opinion, it is literally, at least from what I played of it, one of the better looking games I've ever played. Now, it looked roughly as good as a game like Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, which ironically is also Ubisoft. And for kind of proof that this isn't just my opinion, Digital Foundry actually said that Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora is essentially the best looking game ever made from an objective standpoint, going through like all of the stats and all that kind of thing. You can find that video on their channel. They break it all down really well. And like I said, I think this game looked pretty much as good as Avatar. So it is one of the better looking games that I've ever seen. Keep in mind, I was playing on a very hefty Alienware PC, so that also is probably part of it. But yeah, we were playing in what I assume was 4K 60 or potentially 4K 120. I'm not sure what the refresh rate was on the monitor, but yeah, we were playing it in essentially Ultra HD. The best part with that though is it's not just the graphics, it ran like absolute butter. I had 0 frame drops the entire time. It was smooth as hell. And so it is a really good combination when the graphics are that good, but it also runs really smooth. I'm sure part of that is actually just to do with the delay and stuff like that. They've probably had a lot more time to optimize. And so yeah, that's something that really impressed me. Just not only the way that the game looks, but there are obviously a lot of games that look really good, but man, they run like absolute dog shit. That did not feel the case with this game. Obviously on lower end PCs and stuff, it might be an issue, and I'm sure it's going to be very watered down on consoles as well. But that being said, even their most recent game in Assassin's Creed Mirage, I played that on the Xbox Series X and it looked and ran really well as well. So that was something that definitely impressed me, and I am keen to see how it goes on my own PC. Now, something else that really impressed me in my playtime was to do with the customization. We did have unlocked already some, what I assume were legendary skins for both Yasuke and Naoe, and my god, they were absolutely awesome. I think there was only like 2 unlocked for each, but also on top of that, I did find about 5 to 10 different cosmetics throughout the world, and that's only in a less than 5% area of the map too. So it seems like the customization is going to be absolutely awesome in this game. It seemed like there's also, I don't know if it was skins for weapons or actual different weapons, but yeah, similar to the more recent Assassin's Creed games, there is going to be just a lot of customization in terms of like everything, not just your look, but weapons, and they all have different stats and stuff. And it also has got transmog, which is really good. So you can equip the best stats, but also keep the look of your favorite one, which I think is really important too. Now, last but not least, something that really impressed me was the skill trees. The skill trees were crazy deep. There were 12 skill trees in total, so 6 for each character, and they all look like there are a lot of things to unlock in each of these skill trees. From how I can understand it from the footage that I've got, there is 1 for each weapon type. There is then also 1 for each type of ranged attack. So for Yasuke, for example, he's got like a rifle essentially, and then he can also use a bow. So there is a skill tree for each of those, and then there's also 1 for like essentially him as a character, so pretty much health and survivability. And then yeah, that is just for Yasuke. There is the exact same thing for Naoe as well. I didn't look at Naoe, so I can't confirm, but I don't know if she does have another ranged attack. I don't know if she can use bows or not. If she can't use bows, then her other ranged attack skill tree could possibly be something like stealth or something like that. So regardless, there are a lot of things for us to unlock, which I'm sure to some people, maybe that's not the most enjoyable thing. I know a lot of people do just like kind of getting into a game and just like playing without having to unlock a bunch of stuff. For me personally, I love the more RPG elements, having skill trees and being able to improve my characters as I go through the game. That is something that I really like. And so that's something that really impressed me. Not only how many different skill trees there were, going into depth for literally every single weapon, but also just some of the abilities and stuff that I saw looked absolutely insane. And I cannot wait to fully upgrade both of these characters and see how powerful they can be. But that is it for some of the areas that really impressed me with my hands-on time for Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'm keen to hear all of your thoughts down below, so be sure to leave a comment and be sure to go and check out my 2 previous videos as well. I've got essentially my full initial impressions of the playtime, and I also did a Q&A yesterday as well. So be sure to go and check both of those out. And like I said, there is going to be some coverage on other games in the next few weeks and months. But once we are a little bit closer to Assassin's Creed Shadows, I will be right back on the bandwagon. I've got essentially 2 months of content planned just for this game alone. So if you are new around here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There is plenty more on the way. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.